Hi guys, this is Daniel here. Welcome to my YouTube channel. This is just another video on something I've noticed over the last couple of years about sexual transmutation. I made several videos on sexual transmutation over the years, and it's just something I noticed from an ancient kind of perspective, like an ancient Egyptian or ancient Mesoamerican perspective on sexual transmutation. And I believe that all these cultures, ancient cultures, actually knew that their sexual energy was actually contributing to their success, and that there's actually links between ancient India and ancient Egypt, and that they actually knew the same things, only they portrayed them in different ways. So you'll notice in ancient Egypt, you'll have images of gods with this orange disc above their heads. And I believe that it's saying the same thing that ancient Indians are saying as well. If you look down here at an image, this is an image from India. And these are represented by the chakras in India. And if you notice, the second chakra here is an orange color. And it just so happens to be the sacral chakra, which is associated with sexuality and creativity. So this is what the ancient Egyptian image is saying here as well. It's an orange color as well, which is the same color as the sacral chakra in India. That the ancient Egyptians knew that their sexual energy was contributing to their success. And what this image here represents in ancient Egypt is the sacral chakra, the energy in the sacral chakra rising above them, and it represents celibacy. So the ancient Indians and ancient Egyptians actually knew the same thing. They were only portraying it in different ways. So an interesting name I came across was the sun god Re, who is known as the god of the gods. And you notice here in many images of Re as well, there's often an orange disc above his head too. But if you notice as well, the serpent is also coiled around the orange disc within many images of Re. And I believe it's the same depiction that the ancient Indians are portraying. It's that this idea of this Kundalini awakening and this snake rising inside them to bring them light, to bring them knowledge. And this is how the ancient Egyptians built pyramids, how they became so creative and so successful in the past. It's this same idea, this Kundalini awakening, but it's also associated with sexual transmutation or celibacy. And this is what the orange disc represents as well in ancient Egypt. It means the same thing in a kind of an ancient Indian perspective as well. And you notice as well that the second chakra is the one I'm talking about, associated with sexual transmutation. But notice also as well that the name Re also has two letters, perhaps signifying that his name is associated with the second chakra, the number 2. So as the story in ancient Egypt unfolds, there's a god of agriculture called Osiris, and he gets into a confrontation with his brother called Set. And Set wins this battle, and he tears Osiris into 13 pieces. And Osiris's lover Isis then tries to find the missing pieces, but she only finds 12. There's a missing piece, and it's his phallus. So the whole ancient Egyptian story, the beginning of it, is centered around the erect phallus, and that the birth of the kingdom cannot progress, or anything kind of creative cannot progress until the phallus is erect. So this is what ancient cultures actually knew, that their sexual energy was actually contributing to their success. Another interesting thing I came across as well, it was my kind of intuitive understanding. I don't know if I'm right about this, but I'm going to say it anyway. That the Do-Re-Mi scale actually has something as a link to ancient Egypt or ancient spiritual texts. And if you imagine the Do-Re-Mi scale, there's 7 tones here. There's Do, Re, Mi, Fa, Sol, La, Ti. And if you imagine that each one of these tones corresponds to what Indians call a chakra, but there are 7 tones and 7 chakras. And you'll see ancient Egyptians, they'll chant, they'll pray, they'll sing. In many faiths and spiritual traditions, they use sound to balance and heal themselves inside. So I believe that this is what the Do-Re-Mi scale is actually referring to. And it actually has a more ancient kind of beginning than we believe, and it has links to ancient Egypt. But notice here that the second tone is Re. And like I said before, that the name Re has 2 letters and is associated with sexual transmutation. So I believe that the name Re is linked to the Do-Re-Mi scale, and that the second tone actually, and his name Re, actually signifies the second chakra, the sacra, and sexual transmutation. Here is an image of chakras from ancient Egypt, from ancient India. We have the crown, the third eye, the throat, the heart, solar plexus, the sacra, and the root. So like I said before, the second chakra in ancient India is the sacra. And I believe that the ancient Egyptians actually knew this as well. They knew that they knew about these chakras did in ancient Egypt. They're only portraying it maybe through images in a way that's not really maybe obvious to people of the Western world today, or anyone of today's modern society, and that the sacra is actually the sacre. This is where the name Re comes from in ancient Egypt, that his name actually signifies the sacral chakra in ancient India and sexual transmutation. And these also are images as well. You notice many gods in ancient Egypt, particularly this god here is a god called Sekhmet. And the ancient Egyptians identified this kind of animal nature inside them, that they had to rise above. They were trying to, in the beginning, they were trying to tame the animal world. And to tame the animal world and make it civilized, they identified that they had this animal nature inside them that they had to overcome. And in particular, there was a sexual kind of animal nature that they had to overcome. And this is what the image of Sekhmet represents here in ancient Egypt. You'll also notice the snake above her head, this idea of a Kundalini awakening and the snake coming up, rising up to bring light and sight and knowledge, perhaps a battle with the snake as well. But the orange disc again represents the link it has with sexual transmutation and rising of the sacral force above the animal nature. So this is also noticed as well in other ancient cultures, in ancient Rome in particular as well. You notice that many images in ancient Rome actually have sculptures with the people who are naked or people having sex, that the ancient Romans actually knew that their sexual energy was actually contributing to the creative artwork that they were creating. So many civilizations across the world actually know this, that their sexual energy is actually contributing to their success. This is also reflected as well in temples in ancient India. Many temples across ancient India have carvings depicting people having sex, and it might conjure up the idea that the whole construction of the temple was based on sexual energy, and that the ancient Indians were actually using their sexual energy, becoming celibate or transmuting their sexual energy in some sense to help them become creative and more successful. So I just made a video on ancient sexual transmutation, and it's this idea that all civilizations all across the world actually knew that their sexual energy was actually contributing to their success. So thank you for listening, and I'll see you again.